Hey everyone, welcome to the Pre-algebra 5.3 video. We're talking about adding and subtracting, dun dun dun, unlike fractions. Easy though, you'll be able to do it just fine. Alright, so unlike fractions, what are they? Well, again, they have different denominators, okay, such as 3/5 minus 4/7. Alright, 3/5 minus 4/7, no common denominator, so I'd have to do something to that. And what would I have to do to that? Well, remember, in addition or subtraction, I need to make them the same denominator. Okay, so the question is, what would be the least common multiple, okay, LCM, of 5 and 7? Otherwise known as, hey, you know what number can I get 5 and 7 to be that's as small as possible? Okay, well, or 5 times what and 7 times what equals the same thing. So I need new fractions we're subtracting, okay? And the denominators of them are going to be, well, let's see, 5 and 7. I think the least common denominator would be 35. Let's see. Well, let's see, if I took 5 times 7 to get 35, I'd have to take 3 times 7 as well, and 3 times 7 is 21. If I took, well, let's see, 7 to 35, that'd be multiplying by 5. So then 4 times 5 would be 20. So now I have my new problem. 21/35 minus 20/35. Now I have like fractions, right? So let's see. Well, I'm going to have in my answer, well, common denominator of 35. 21 minus 20 is just 1. And there's your answer, 1/35. All right, so turning, unlike fractions into like fractions is nothing new. So we're going to just kind of apply that. So let's say you're out hiking, and you're going to hike between two campsites, and hopefully you don't end up like this guy. And let's say your campsites, let's see, you're going to start at Maple Ridge, and you want to end up at, let's see, Hampton Hot Springs. Okay, right over there. And let's see, let's say the distance, okay, is, we'll say 20 and a half miles, okay, from there to there. And you follow the path of least resistance, kind of go along the river, cut through there, cross, and get there. Okay, so 20 and a half miles. So let's say that you've already hiked 9 3/4 miles. And we want to figure out how much distance do you have left? Okay, and let's say this is your start and that's your end. Okay, so, you're probably somewhere right about there. The question is, what is this distance right there? All right, so how do we figure that out? Well, let's see, we need to set up what kind of a problem? A subtraction, right? So we have 20 and a half miles to go. We've already gone 9 3/4. So we've taken 9 3/4 away from our total distance. And if we do this problem, we're going to get our distance left. So why don't you take a minute, and I want you to solve this one. Pause the video, play it when you're done, and see what you get. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, all right, I have mixed numbers. I'm probably going to turn those into improper fractions. For me, I think that's the best way to subtract when you have mixed numbers. So this would be 20 and 2 would be 40 plus a 1. 41 divided by 2. You're going to subtract from that. Well, let's see. 4 times 9 is 36 plus a 3 is 39 divided by 4. Okay, do they have like denominators? No, they do not. So what do I have to do? Well, I need to get the least common denominator between a 2 and a 4, also known as the least common multiple. So I'm going to turn this one here, okay? I'm going to make him have a denominator of 4. And so I'm actually not going to change this one at all. So we're going to have some fraction minus this other fraction, which isn't changing, so it's 39 over 4. So how do I make the 2 into a 4? Well, I'm going to multiply by 2. So 2 times 2 obviously gets you a 4. So, but I have to do the same to the top. So 41 times 2 would get me 82. So now I'm taking 82/4 minus 39/4. All right, that's a little more manageable because they have like denominators. So common denominators. It's going to be a 4. What's 82 minus 39? Well, 82 minus 39 is going to get you 43. right? 82 minus 39, 43. So 43 over 4, though. Does that really help us a lot? Well, let's see. When I talk about going miles, I usually talk about in whole numbers or mixed numbers, right? 2.5 miles or, 2.5 miles even. But I really don't say 43/4 of a mile, so let's go ahead and turn this into a mixed number. All right, so let's see. 43 divided by 4. Let's see, 4 would go into 40 10 times, right? Okay, so that'd be 40. We'll subtract, we'd be left with a 3. And decimal, decimal, and then the 0. And we'll bring that down. 40 goes into 30, well, let's see, 7 times, giving us 28. We'll subtract, and we get a 2. And I'll bring down a 0 again, and let's see, 4 goes into 20 5 times, right? Evenly, and we're left with a remainder of 0. So, what is our answer? Well, we could say 10.75 miles left. Or we could say what? Well, let's see. 0.75. What does that really mean? Well, 75 hundredths. So I could say 10 and 75 100ths, but we can simplify that, right? 75 100ths, well, let's see. 75 out of 100, that's 3/4 of 100. So I could say 10 and 3/4. Ooh, that doesn't look like a 4. 10 and 3/4 miles left to go. I'm sure you guys tracked with that pretty well, but we're getting more advanced, so we're gonna throw in some variables here. So let's say I had a over 2 minus a over 6, and I said simplify that expression, or subtract. Well, we have fractions and we need to subtract, so we have to have like denominators or common denominators. So let's see, how can I make those common denominators? Well, this is a 2 and this is a 6. I can make 2 into 6, so let's work on that. So this first fraction is going to change, minus, and this other fraction we're going to keep the same, a over 6. So I need to make a 2 into a 6. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to multiply by 3. So 2 times 3 would give you 6. But if I take the bottom times 3, I need to take the top times 3. Okay, so what is a times 3? Well, it's like saying 3 times a, which we would just call 3a. And now we have 3a over 6 minus a over 6. Can we operate on this now? Yeah, right? I can subtract because I have common denominators. So I'm going to have 6 as my denominator because both those were 6. And now on the top, I have 3a minus an a. So it's like saying, hey, I have 3 apples, take away 1 apple, I'm left with 2 apples. And I'm done, right? Wrong. Why? Got to simplify. Okay, I can simplify a 2 over 6. And a 2 over 6 would simplify to become a 1 over 3. But again, I have the a on top. And I could leave this as 1a over 3, but it could probably simplify it even a little further. Remember, 1x is just the same as saying x, so 1a is just the same as saying a. So I'm going to change this top from a 1a to just a plain a over 3, and I would be done. So why don't you pause the video? I want you to try this one real quick. Play it when you're done, and let's see how you do. So this is going to be number 4. Try this one. All right, there you go. Give it a shot and see how you do. All right, so fractions and subtraction. I have to have what? Common denominators, right? So let's see. Well, I have a 9 and a 6. So what's the least common denominator I could create out of that? Let's try 18. Okay. So I want to make both fractions have a denominator of 18. Question is, what do I do to 9 to make it 18? Well, I had to multiply by 2, so now I have to take this top times 2. So now I'm taking 2c times 2, and I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to put a 2 right there, okay? So 2 times 2c is, well, it's like saying 2 times 2 times c. Well, 2 times 2 is 4 times c, so I can write the top as 4c. All right, on bottom, 6 times 3 gave me 18, so I need to take this whole thing times 3. So 3 times 5c, well, 5c is like saying 5 times c, right? So it's like saying 3 times 5 times c. 3 times 5 is 15 times c. I can just write that as 15c. So the top here becomes 15c. So we have fractions, we have subtraction, and I have same denominators, common denominators. So I know my answer is going to have a denominator of 18, unless I have to, simplify it. But for right now, it will. Now I just take the top, right? 4c minus 15c. Well, it's like saying I have 4 cats, take away 15 cats. 4 minus 15 is negative 11, but we're talking about c's here, okay? So, negative 11c over 18. Can I simplify the negative 11 over 18? No, I can't. So, we are done, and there's our answer. Negative 11c over 18 also could be written negative 11c over 18. You could write it like that. You could even write it with the negative down on the 18 and write it as 11c over negative 18 if you want. This one is a little less common. I like these two more. Either way is fine though. Alright guys, thanks for sticking with me during this video. Look forward to seeing you in class. We'll talk more about adding and subtracting fractions that have unlike denominators, especially with variables involved. See ya.